of adolescent. You fit the stereotype well. 1, 2, 3, go!
Ba 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 ba. All right, this is Politerotica here, and I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today to commemorate the Democratic national debates that will be taking place, or actually have taken place by the time of this video's uploading. We are going to be roasting all of the candidates of the next presidential election in 2020. So there are quite a few candidates here. So let's just go through them one by one and let's just see what's with them. You know, maybe see what they gotta say. Maybe they got some slogans that we can talk about. So let's just go Bennett. Michael Bennett, 54, senator from Colorado. Okay, and his quote right here, he's got a nice smug-looking grin. "We cannot be the first generation to leave less to our kids, not more. That's why I am running for president. Let's build opportunity for every American and restore integrity to our government." And he is a moderate Democrat known for seeking compromise. You know how much I appreciate compromise on this channel. And is best known for being a part of the so-called Gang of Eight, a bipartisan group that has crafted a comprehensive immigration reform bill in 2013. Okay. Announced in early April that he had prostate cancer, but has since had surgery, and that his staff called completely successful. That seems like a really strange thing to put in a presidential candidate's little bio there. I mean, it is definitely a triumph that you defeated a disease that is takes the lives of many men around his age, but it just seems like a strange thing to add. Like, by the way, also he had cancer, so if you don't vote for him, his signature issue is that he has called for the modernizing of the economy in fields like artificial intelligence and for increasing infrastructure spending. Yep, that sounds like a typical thing that someone running for president would propose. And yeah, that's great. Okay, so we've got Joseph Biden Jr. We're all very familiar with the Joey Biden over there. So his little quote here is, "If we give Donald Trump 8 years in the White House, he will forever and fundamentally alter the character of this nation, who we are, and I cannot stand by and watch this happen." I could see him saying that. Here's his little bullet points here. He's has run for president twice before. Yeah, okay, is known for his down-to-earth personality and his ability to connect with the working class voters. Okay. Regards 2020 is his last chance to run for president, and his signature issue is restoring America's standing in the global stage, strengthening economic protections for low-income workers in industries like manufacturing and fast food. Good old Joey Biden. Over there, God, okay. We're not gonna break the Joe Biden seal right now, but let's just say he's not going to be Obama, okay? So the whole reason why Obama himself would even pair himself with Joe Biden in the first place was to alter his perception to moderate conservatives and to moderate Democrats back in 2006. Back when they were gearing up for his inevitable run in 2008. So Joe Biden was a perfect candidate to be vice president, to kind of polish Obama's image so they couldn't call him a socialist like they call Bernie Sanders a socialist. I remember back in the day calling Obama a socialist just I don't know, this is kind of silly because he's not a socialist. He doesn't identify as that at all, even though he's, I guess, kind of bipartisan to ideals on the left and the right. But yeah, okay. Joe Biden's not your guy. If you loved Obama, Bernie's your guy. So we've got Cory Booker, because we got Cory in the house. Oh my God, I can't believe I never thought of that. Okay, so we've got Cory Booker, who is, Booker is 50, and he's got bald president. I'm not having it. I believe that we can build a country where no one is forgotten, no one is left behind, where we see the faces of our leaders on television and feel pride, not shame. Shame of being bald. That's why I, a bald vegan man, will be running for president, so no one can feel left out ever again. All the little bald kids out there, Caillou, I'm looking at you, can feel good about themselves now that Cory Booker has, blazed the trail for bald presidents everywhere. One of the most gifted orators in the field, running on a politics of uplift that recalls President Obama's 2008 campaign. Okay, well, that's a weird sentence. It's hard to read. Enjoy a vast fundraising base thanks to a long-standing connections to donors around the country. Okay, yeah. Corporate, Democrat. Okay, this is just a fancy way of saying a vast. Signature Issues has been one of the leaders on the Senate of Criminal Justice Reform and has proposed government-run savings programs called baby bonds to curb inequality, which is nice. It's nice, Cory. Cory in the house. But, I don't know, your slogans. The little quote they chose for you, I don't know. It's fun to read into. We've got Steve Bullock, governor of Montana. Hannah Montana. We need to defeat Donald Trump in 2020 and defeat the corrupt system that lets campaign money drown out the people's voice so we can finally make good on the promise of fair shot for everybody. It's a great quote. I like that. How come? I don't know. There's a lot of guys in this race. They say a lot of nice things, but they're just saying the things that Bernie's been saying, and they're only saying them now because now they know they're popular. I mean, if 6 years ago, Steve Bullock and Cory Booker and Joe Biden were all saying these things back then I don't think we'd be here right now mocking them, okay? So his signature issues are his emphasis on finance reform while also pushing for early childhood education and other policies aimed at reducing income inequality. Yes, sounds great. Pete Buttigieg. I hate saying that name, and I hate seeing his face. He could be the nicest guy in the world, but he looks like a giant 9-year-old, and the kind of 9-year-old that would, oh God. He's the exact kind of 9-year-old that would be on the playground talking about how his big brother is so cool and that he's going to beat you up and that his big brother has all the best bikes and his big brother lets him play on his Xbox, but then when you actually go and hang out at his house, his big brother is actually very abusive towards him and you want to say something to Pete, but you don't really want to destroy the view that he has of his big brother. And that's like the cold innocence in Pete's eyes as he's running for president is exactly the cold innocence of a young boy who looks up to his older brother, only for you to know that his older brother is a degenerate. Anyways, this is a weird analogy. Sorry, Pete. You look young. And he's 37. Like, oh God, like a few years older than my boyfriend. Running for office is an act of hope. You don't do it unless you think the pulleys and levers of our government can be used if necessary, redesigned to make the life of this nation better for all. So, that's a weird quote. He's referring to the freedom and fundamental right of democracy as pulleys and levers to be used for necessary gains. Interesting wording. So here's his bullet points. He began to draw a national... Okay, sorry, starting that over. Began to draw national notice after writing an essay that counseled Democrats on how to recover from their defeats in 2016 elections. Yeah, I'm gonna zoom in a bit. I can't read that small. Okay. I'm gonna read that again. Embarked on a long-shot campaign that is testing the appeal of the youthful profile over more traditional qualifications. Yes, that's a nice way of saying, hi, I'm young and hip and cool, but highly unqualified, but you should still hire me, because that's kind of how it's gone for every other one of my jobs up until now, so why won't it work for the presidency? It worked for Trump, why can't it work for me? His signature issues is that he has stressed the generational identity and focused on issues like climate change and economic opportunity. I guess his generational identity is millennials, I guess. That I noticed that people like Pete, I guess the people that are at least younger than Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are kind of trying to call to millennials, like saying like, hey, you don't want to vote for Bernie and Elizabeth because they're so old. You should vote for me because I'm young and cool like you. We eat ramen. Ha ha ha. We're so broke. When you're not, don't lie to me, okay? We're not the same. Unless you spend your time eating dry Pop-Tarts without cooking them and watching old reruns of SpongeBob SquarePants. You are not a millennial, Pete. Come on. Okay. So, Julian Castro, he's the former housing secretary and the former mayor of San Antonio. And he is 44 years old. He's a Democrat. He also kind of looks like a giant 9-year-old. I don't know what's with that trend. Maybe it's the baby face. We need a president with a beard again. Make president's beard again. That doesn't make any sense. Make America beard again. Anyways, I'm running for president because it's time for new leadership. It's time for new energy. ... You know, he should follow that new energy lineup with new, sustainable, reusable energy for everybody. But no, we're talking more or less of a metaphorical energy because that's free. Okay, so his bullet points was rising. He was a rising political star during the Obama oh, Jesus Christ. Thought I was done with saying Obama's name in sentences. It's so hard. Was a rising star during the Obama administration, but struggled to find a role afterward. Interesting. Opted out for challenging Senator Ted Cruz for the Senate in 2018 midterm elections, which if you opt out to lose to Ted Cruz, the loser of the entire human race, the Meg of the human world, why? He sucks. That's like losing to a robot that's programmed to lose. Delivered a standout performance in the first debate in June, declaring that the nation would soon say adios to Trump. Yeah, I like that. I really like the idea, though, of a Hispanic person running against Trump, because it's like, hey, guy, if you can't build a wall around the White House, ha. Signature issues is that he has called for overhauling immigration, He has called for overhauling the immigration system, including decriminalization of border crossings and the education policies like universal pre-kindergarten and other early education early education projects. Sorry, I'm eating lasagna while I'm making this video, so excuse me. Bill de Blasio, mayor of New York City. He's a Democrat, and he looks like he's in the middle of talking while they took this screenshot. They couldn't get a better picture. Everyone else looks like they're posing, but they just look like they screen capped this. Or maybe he just doesn't. Maybe he just looks like this. Oh, Blasio. Okay. As president, I will take on the wealthy. I will take on the big corporations. I will not rest until this government serves working people. That's like a dollar store Bernie. You're just a wannabe Bernie. Everyone just wants to say the exact same thing. And I get it. You guys probably do want to believe these things, but you're just a little bit too late to the parade, okay, Bill? You're just not in it. We've been in it since the beginning. We've been calling for these things before I even knew how to articulate them. I don't know, man. You're 58 years old and now you're running for... Sorry. I don't know anything about you. I'm sorry, Bill. I can't criticize you this way. You seem like a nice man. Okay, as mayor, has paired the liberal policy feats like universal pre-kindergarten with falling crime and a sturdy economy. Yes, because educating children from a young age does definitely boost their ability to determine whether or not they want to turn to a life of crime. Also, graduating high school and moving out of your original hometown if you live in a small area with not so many opportunities can also change your perspective on a lot of things. And I feel like Americans should have more of an incentive to have people maybe travel to other countries, things like that. But, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So his past forays into national politics, like progressive nonprofit and a halting endorsement of Hillary Clinton, have ended in disaster. Okay, all right. Past forays like into national politics, like progressive nonprofit and a halting endorsement. That sentence is really two ideas put into one, so I'm just going to break them down into two ideas instead of one. So his past forays into national politics, like progressive nonprofit. These people for running for president, I don't think that they're not qualified. I think anybody would be more qualified at this point to be president of the United States. It just seems, if you really are fighting for income inequality and pushing progressive priorities, why are you running against Bernie Sanders? I don't understand it. Because in a White House where you have the supreme leader of progressive policies and income inequality, why wouldn't you think that he wouldn't have a place for your ideas? It just seems like instead of fighting against each other and saying, "Oh, I'm way more progressive than you. Look at all my friends that say how great I am." Why aren't we working a little bit more together and unified towards these ideas that everyone on this list is barking towards, and just endorse Bernie Sanders as the main candidate? You know he's going to do the things that he says he's going to do. Are you going to do the things that you say you're going to do? I'm not so sure, and I'm pretty sure the rest of America, or at least everybody on the progressive side of the agenda, is pretty familiar with. So if you're running on that platform specifically, your base is going to be drawn to the more loud, more articulate candidate like Bernie or possibly Elizabeth Warren or even Andrew Yang, of all people. So I'm just going to move on to John Delaney now because Bill de Blasio just got us talking. So we got John Delaney over here, who is 56 years old, former congressman from Maryland, a former businessman as well. And there's a nice picture of him. He looks like a crazy man. I think that I'm the right person for the job, but not enough people who knew who I was or still know who I am. I think I'm the right person for the job, but not enough people knew who I was or still know who I am. Sorry, John Delaney, that's true. Was elected to the House in 2012 as a pragmatic idealist in his telling, and has been running aggressively since 2017. He's been running since 2017 for president. Has visited every country in Iowa, but hasn't done much. Oh, county. Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, this sentence doesn't make any sense. Okay. Has visited every county in Iowa, but hasn't done much to improve his long shot prospects. So really that means he's visited all of the places that are in the areas that matter for votes, but not necessarily meeting in the places that would actually garner traction for the campaign. So political strategists often will make the mistake of only campaigning in certain areas that they believe will get the votes of the electoral college system, kind of trying to not play the system, but work democracy in a way that it has to be worked in this current system, where you go to the more populated areas that are swing states. Actually, I guess swing states. Yeah, sorry. And you campaign there, and you get all the votes there. And God, I don't want to finish this sentence. It's so boring, so I'm just gonna cut it out. So his signature issue is that he's pitched himself as a bipartisan problem solver, but has also endorsed the liberal causes like universal health care, which is a good thing. It's not compromise. Please stop compromising. Tulsi Gabbard, Congresswoman from Hawaii, is an Army National Guard veteran and a total badass. Tulsi Gabbard is amazing. There is a lot of challenges that are facing the American people, and I am concerned about them, and I want to help solve them. That's nice. So she has supported Bernie Sanders in the 2016 primaries, and has also been very vocal towards his support as of late, instead of being really weird and against him. They're very tightly knit candidates, and I would imagine if either candidate was to progress farther in the race to presidency, they would include each other. That's why don't throw Bernie under the bus, because if he wins the presidency, he'll find a place for you. Has drawn condemnation for meeting with Syria's President Bashar al-Assad, whose regime has been accused of using chemical weapons against civilians. Yes. National policy, foreign policy is a very complicated issue. Meeting with foreign leaders of countries that commit war crimes is a hot subject. But I don't think that that's necessarily why we should demonize people, specifically politicians that are working towards learning more about foreign policy. And she has apologized for her history of anti-gay statements and her past work for anti-gay advocacy groups. See, the whole idea that progressive people are so progressive to the point that they don't believe that anybody can change, and I don't believe that. I think that people can change. I think that a lot of hateful people aren't necessarily hateful down to their core. I think that there's a lot of people out there that are anti-gay for reasons that might not be on the surface. They might be anti-gay because they themselves may be a raging homosexual, and to be honest, Tulsi does give me those kinds of vibes. She's definitely got my gaydar going, if you know what I mean. So her signature issue is opposition to American military intervention overseas, including countries like Syria, as we discussed earlier. And I think she's great. She's a cool gal. And Kamala Harris is the opposite of a cool gal. She's a hot gal? Okay, that's not what I was going for. But she's the senator from California, former Attorney General of California, and former San Francisco District Attorney. So, narc. I believe our country wants and needs some serious leadership that provides a vision of the country in which everyone could see themselves. And there's her smiling there, looking like a real estate agent whose husband is committing infidelity in the very homes that she's sorry, I'm just building a world. Just looks like you'd see her that on like a park bench with like a phone number next to it. It's beautiful. A Remax. Okay, so she brings star power and history-making potential to the race that few Democrats can match. That's very true. She brings a history that she can speak from, which is easily criticized, but it's definitely resonates with low education voters or low information voters. I don't want to say low education because it sounds condescending. People that don't know about politics aren't stupid. They're just uninformed. But there's a point when you claim to know about politics and then you're still wrong, yeah, then you're stupid. But yeah, low information voters are going to be inclined to candidates like Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, maybe even Cory Booker if he pushes a little bit harder in the debates. But yeah, people are going to be more inclined to Camilla because she's got this history and she's got this power, and a lot of people recognize her name. She's had a lot of titles here. She's not that much younger than a lot of the other candidates on here, but she's got a lot more under her belt than the other candidates on here. And that's why people like Pete Buttigieg over there bother me so much, because this girl is, as much as I don't like her, she's a heck of a lot more qualified than that guy. So, smug little 9-year-old. So, okay, so she is one of the few Democrats to join the Senate after 2016, which is pretty impressive. It was kind of hard to break this red seal after 2016, and we definitely lost the Senate a few years ago, so we're trying to get that back in 2020, and we'll get there. Quickly drew notice for her tough questioning of Mr. Trump's cabinet nominees and later his Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh. Yes, she was very harsh in her criticisms towards that, and still is, and I respect her for that. But of course, any sane Democratic woman should be very vocal against very obvious issues that are plaguing our nation. So her signature issues are unveiled middle-class tax cut legislation last fall, and has championed a liberal civil rights agenda in the Senate. Ooh, spooky. Amy Klobuchar, I like saying that name. Klobuchar. Okay, she's from Minnesota. Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota. It is time to organize. Time to galvanize. See, sometimes I just learn a new word and it makes me feel dumb. Okay, it is time to organize, time to galvanize, and time to take back our country. I should have known it was galvanized because she's rhyming. How fun. All that Minnesota charm. Became a hero to many Democrats for her stern, cool questioning of Brett Kavanaugh during his confirmation hearings, which was amazing, and y'all should watch that. That's where I know y'all Klobuchar from. She has called for Democrats to focus on reclaiming the swing states in the middle of the country, pitching herself as a pragmatist. Who can win? Pragmatist. I've just never heard that word used that way before. People who write about politics really try to fluff up their words like everything's a headline. So I'm just going to read that again. Has called for Democrats to focus on reclaiming the swing states in the middle of her country, pitching herself as a pragmatist who can win there, which is fair. I think it's, like we were mentioning before, it's very important for political candidates to be strategic about where they campaign, where they set their ideas, and yes, Klobuchar, do it. Her signature issues is that she has championed legislation to combat the opioid crisis and drug addiction, and to address the cost of prescription drugs in the United States. Basically, more things that are under the large umbrella of progressive issues. I don't think that she should be the president of the United States, but she said a lot of things that I agree with. She's done a lot of things that I don't agree with, but I like her words. Don't think she should be president, though. Then there's Wayne Massame. I've not really known much about this guy because there's just a lot of candidates to cover, and when you're not a really controversial figure, you just don't. I'm sorry, you just don't show up. So he's 45 years old, and he's a former college football champion and mayor of Myanmar. Great. Mayors would, I guess, why are there so many mayors who want to be president? Is that like a mini president? Defeated longtime incumbent to become his history's first black mayor, which is great. Has taken a progressive stance on guns, immigration, and environmental issues, which is also great. First generation American born to Jamaican parents, he is hoping to tap into the Caribbean American community to help fuel his long shot bid. His signature issue is that he's proposed canceling more than $1.5 trillion in student debt owed by over 44 million Americans, which is great. And I feel like his ideas are going to be listened to. So I like this guy. And the candidate that I'm rooting for will make sure that all the things that he's got on this list will happen. And there's Beto O'Rourke. And I have a weird confession to make. He's a weird looking guy, but I'm like weirdly attracted to him. Does anyone else feel that? Does any other women out there have that weird feeling? He's just got that like that teacher vibe, like that substitute teacher vibe. I don't know. Sorry. So, former congressman from Texas, 2018 Senate candidate who has a annoying face. This is going to be a positive campaign that seeks to bring the very best from every single one of us that can seek to unite a divided country. And he will bring out the very best from every single one of us. That's... Became a celebrity of Democratic politics in the Trump age and narrowly lost to Senator Ted Cruz in 2018. Losing to Ted Cruz. Like I said, lose to Ted Cruz is like losing to a robot that was programmed to lose by a loser. He has delivered a message of national unity and red state liberalism via constant social media live streaming to voters inside and outside of Texas. Inside of Texas and outside of Texas. He's all over. So yeah, Beto. I see him all over Instagram. I have a confession to make. I follow him on Instagram. I'm sorry. So there's Tim Ryan, also looks like a fellow real estate agent. Definitely looks like the kind of guy you'd find on a park bench, or the kind of business card that you'd use to like tear up a little bit to use as filters. He's a congressman from Ohio and a former congressional staff member. He's another Democrat, of course, because these guys are all Democrats. It's Democratic debates. I've watched the American dream slip through the fingers of many Americans, ampersands. I've watched the American dream slip through the fingers of many Americans, and it is time for one of us to start building the America we deserve. Thanks, Batman. So he's joined Congress at age 29 and has positioned himself as a voice for blue-collar voters in the Midwest. Yes. Midwest. Challenged Nancy Pelosi for the House Minority Leader after the 2016 election, winning 63 votes to her 134. Nancy Pelosi of all the people. Once opposed to abortion rights, but gradually reversed his position, he announced in 2015 he considered abortion a personal choice. Wow. This guy, Tim Ryan, progressive, leader, champion of social change and feminism, believes that body autonomy for a grown woman is a personal choice. Wow. Riveting. and his signature issues. Renegating or enforcing trade deals. Renegating? Oh, God. Signature issues, renegotiating or enforcing trade deals, and pushing Chinese currency manipulation, union rights, and force worker development. Oh, God. What? Workforce development. Okay, sorry. Damn, I have to read that all over again. Renegotiating and enforcing trade deals, pushing Chinese currency manipulation and union rights, while also advocating for workforce development. While I'm reading these things, sometimes I have to add extra words because whoever wrote this definitely didn't plan on these being read out loud. They are just comma after comma. Okay, they just don't. Words don't roll off the tongue. So we've got Bernie Sanders over here, 77, senator from Vermont and a former congressman. And his cute little photograph here. Aw, he looks so sweet. He looks literally like a little boy who's like taking his very first kindergarten picture, and he's so excited to be there, and he's just got his little smile, and his mom combed his hair all nice for the picture, and he's wearing his favorite glasses. It's just a good day. Today's a good day. That's a good picture. The only way that we will win this election and create a government and economy that works for all is with a grassroots movement, like the likes of which that has never been seen in American history. I'm going to read that again. I'm going to read it with more power and vigor. The only way that we will win this election and create a government and economy that works for all is with a grassroots movement, the likes of which have never been seen in American history. A self-described democratic socialist has brought progressive proposals like Medicare for all, tuition-free public college to the forefront of the race, and started the very conversation that all of these schmucks above have been harping about ever since that he brought it up in like the 70s, for God's sakes. So he was also the runner-up for the 2016 Democratic primary, but y'all decided to vote for Hillary Clinton instead, and now we're here. So thanks. I don't really think that I need to talk more about Bernie. I talk about him enough on this channel, but yeah. Every other candidate that says anything, this guy has already covered it, and he's covered it better. So just do some reads. Just get some reading done. It's easy. Stop. Get some help. Got Joe Sestak. Never heard of him before. I'm very embarrassed right now. I've heard of everybody else on this list except for this person. He's a former congressman from Pennsylvania and former Navy admiral. Maybe I've heard of this person? I have no idea. So let's just jump right into it, bare bones. Our country desperately needs a president with a depth of global experience and an understanding of all the elements of our nation's power. He was the highest-ranking military officer ever elected to Congress in 2006. Won a long-shot victory in the 2010 Democratic primary for a Senate seat in Pennsylvania. Delayed his presidential campaign announcement to help his daughter fight brain cancer. Amazing. And signature issues is combating climate change and restoring Americans' place in the world. And that sounds nice. He sounds like a wholesome individual. I feel like more people in the army and people that have served overseas, or just people that are more equipped with the reality of war, should be running for president. Then maybe they'd be a little less reluctant to send people there. Or when they do, they might have a better plan. So there's Tom Stair, 62, and I can hear somebody coming over here, so I'm going to stop talking now. Honey, are you coming over here? Okay. Back in it. And there's Tom Steyer, who looks drunk in this photograph, for real. He looks literally like he's at a barbecue or a college frat party, and he's like, bro. Billionaire, former hedge fund executive, climate change and impeachment activist. Billionaire, former hedge fund exclusive, climate change and impeachment activist. Sounds like a nice title. He looks drunk in this photo. Americans are deeply disappointed and hurt by the way that they are treated and what they think is the power elite in Washington, D.C. I have to read that again. His sentence doesn't make sense. Americans are deeply disappointed and hurt by the way that they're threatened by what they think is the power in the elite Washington. He's reversed a previous decision not to enter the race, so he has changed his mind. What a delinquent. Started out as an environmental activist before airing millions of dollars in television ads demanding Mr. Trump's impeachment. Thank you. Sounds like a nice man. And has flirted repeatedly with running for a statewide office in California. How titillating. And his signature issue is fighting climate change, promoting renewable energy, and impeaching Donald Trump, which sounds great. Sounds grand. Elizabeth Warren. Literally, I don't know how to describe that photo, but it looks creepy. Like a just staring right back into you. Then there's a senator. She's a senator from Massachusetts and a former Harvard professor. So she's just got that teacher vibe, you know? She's got it. It's time for women to go to Washington and fix our broken government, and that includes a woman at the top. And she's running on the classic woman for president thing. She's got a lot of family rhetoric, and I really like it. She really calls towards what a lot of working moms and people at the time that would want to have voted for Hillary Clinton because that's what they thought that she had stood for. So that's why people like Elizabeth Warren. She's everything that people thought Hillary Clinton would be. She's even got the haircut and the cute little colored suits. So if you want to vote for Elizabeth Warren and because you feel bad because you want a woman to be president, and but you want all the things that Bernie Sanders will do, yeah, that's okay. It's fine with me. I have a plan for that. Has become her rallying cry and t-shirt slogan. I have a plan for that. It's pretty good. She talks about policy a lot, which is kind of rare nowadays. Starting a conversation about family and then segueing it into a broader conversation about what we can do to change things, or talking about a problem or an issue in your life, in your past, and then turning that memory or collective exercise where we are humanizing the audience and humanizing the speaker, and then using that, the very opportunity to propose your issues is exactly Elizabeth Warren's MO, and it's a very good, effective strategy, and I respect it. There's Marianne Williamson, self-help author and New Age lecturer. She's a Democrat, and age 67. I've seen a few interviews with her as of recently. She's got a lot of weird ideas. She's a nice lady, but when you see self-help author and New Age lecturer, that's exactly what you're thinking is what you should be thinking. We need a moral and spiritual awakening in this country. Nothing short of that is adequate. A fundamental change to the patterns of our political dysfunction is, I guess, the essence of her campaign. That's the quote that they pulled. She uses the word spiritual awakening in the country, and she says that it's nothing short of that is adequate. So, perfectionist, self-help author, okay. No, I'm joking. I'm just joshing you. The author of more than a dozen self-help and spirituality books, of which the titles are very fun to read, ran for Congress as an independent in 2014 and evidently lost. Champion rights of gay men with AIDS, founding a charity that now supplies meals with people with serious illnesses, and that's great. I've actually read a lot about some of the charities that she works for. They're actually pretty cool. There's a lot of really cool I guess not pro-AIDS. I don't think people are pro-AIDS. I guess it's ending the stigma behind AIDS. No one's like pro-AIDS. But yeah, she's done a lot of things towards the gay men and just the LGBT community that has been affected with HIV and AIDS. I think that's great. And you should look into that. There might be a link in the description. Her signature issues is that she's proposed $100 billion in reparations for slavery, with $10 billion to be redistributed annually over a decade for economic and education projects. See, the whole idea of reparations is a little bit more complicated than what the right and what Tucker Carlson and even some of the low information voters in the comment sections under Facebook ads advocating for this kind of stuff, is that reparations don't mean that we're just going to give everybody like $1,000 and just call it a day. It's a little bit more systematic than that. We want to change areas that have been specifically affected by segregation, put funding in schools that have otherwise been completely forgotten by the public education system. It's just a complete reorganization of a lot of neighborhoods and just how a lot of taxes are allocated to different different counties. It's just a lot more complicated than just here you go, here's some money. It's restructuring the way that we vote. It's restructuring the way that we educate the youth. It's a whole shebang. And so I really do appreciate people that talk about reparations and talk about the complexities of them. She's one of them. Andrew Yang is 44, a former tech executive who founded an economic development nonprofit website, to a Place Collective, that is quite successful. Not many people talk about him. I follow him on Instagram. I follow his YouTube. He's a nice guy. He says all of the exact same things that Bernie Sanders has, except he just hasn't been advocating for them as long. So there's just not as much of a history there when it comes to why he believes the way he does. But I think he's a genuine man. Just seems a little lame, you know? Lame. Just lame guy. He just doesn't got it. He's based his campaign on a proposal to establish universal basic income funded by the government, and he's got a really interesting proposal there. I don't know how well just giving everybody money will do, but it definitely, oh my god, it will definitely help some people help them pay bills each month, or help some people not die. It's just, there's so many reasons why you should just give people money. If your president was just going to give you money, why would you not accept it? It's weird. So, has drawn media attention for highlighting tech issues like robotics and artificial intelligence. And his signature issue is establishing universal basic income of $1,000 per month for all Americans. Which sounds great, but at the same time, some people need a lot more than $1,000 a month, but some people need a lot less. Some people don't need it at all. Just seems like the money might be wasted on some people because they don't need it. I don't know. Maybe there's a way we could give it back to the government. It's complicated, Yang. Yang, you just need to figure out why we're all getting 1,000. Why 1,000 of all things? Why can't we also get free toothbrushes? I've always said that the government should provide. I know I'm sounding like a little bit of a communist here, but there should be a small package, like a box, that is mailed to you, or you have to register it, or you get it at the post office or the embassy. And it's a little shoebox. It's got everything that a human would need to live in a country functionally. So all the homeless people and all the people just living in houses all have a little box of stuff that they can always get more of it if they need more of it. If you need a new toothbrush, you just the government will just give you a new one, and then you get like a t-shirt or whatever. So everyone has a shirt, and everyone has a little pair of sneakers. They're not nice stuff. It's like stuff from the dollar store, like Canada on it. And just everyone gets a shirt, everyone gets shoes, everyone gets service. Not that crazy. And that'll cost way less than $1,000 per person. And then there's Mark Stanford, a former congressman from South Carolina and the former governor of the state of South Carolina. And now we're getting into the Republican category. So this is going to be a lot shorter. But you know how the Republicans are. If he's running against Trump, at least he's doing something right. I think we need to have a conversation about what it means to be a Republican. I mean, I'm not going to be the one to have the discussion, but I think that we need to start a discussion. So start discussing while I become president. He supported Donald Trump in 2016, but eventually became one of his most vocal Republican critics in Congress, like he should have been. So we're just saying that he's a normal, sane person. Lost in a primary last summer to the Trump-endorsed Katie Arrington, who lost in November to her Democratic opponent. So, sorry about that. Mark Sanford lost to a woman. And then that woman lost to a Democrat. Everyone knows that a Democrat is worse than a woman. That's what it means to be a Republican. Sorry. His second term as a South Carolina governor was marred by the discourse of experimental affair, which he had acknowledged. Extramarital affair. Oh my. So this sentence is just a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. In his second term as South Carolina governor, he was marred by the disclosure of an extramarital affair, which he has acknowledged. So basically, while he was in his second term as the governor, he cheated on his wife, and everyone beaked him for it. And now he's acknowledging it like, hey, whoa, I'm running for president. Signature issues he's a fiscal conservative. And he will use his presidential campaign to push a national debate about Americans' mounting debt. Y'all know the right's obsession with the national debt. Donald J. Trump, a Republican, U.S. presidential real estate developer and reality TV star. I feel like real estate developer is not the right term. Not the right term. But definitely reality television star. And I just love that picture of him. I know I'm not supposed to, but it just looks so cute. He also looks like it's his first day of kindergarten. But for Trump, it stops being cute when every day is the first day of kindergarten. And you're 73 years old. Considering that we have done more than any administration in the first 2 years, this should be easy. More great things in the works. And then he probably left as soon as he finished that sentence. Main legislative accomplishments as president was a sweeping tax cut that chiefly benefited corporations and wealthy investors and hopes to trickle down like a... I was going to make an R. Kelly joke, but I feel like it's not 2006 anymore. That's not funny anymore. So he has focused on undoing the policies of the Obama administration, including healthcare, environmental regulation, and immigration. Basically everything that Obama accomplished, Trump and his goons have set to unaccomplish, which has been a lot easier than it was to even accomplish them in the first place, and it's exactly like building a sandcastle. Because it's really hard to make a sandcastle, but it's really, really, really easy to just come over and just smoosh it. He faces multiple serious legal investigations through an Though the recent report by Robert S. Mueller, number third, he's the third Mueller, the special counsel of the United States, found that there's no evidence that he coordinated with Russia in the 2016, specifically involving election interference, but guess what? It definitely found obstruction of justice, and it definitely found definitely found lying. Not to mention all the hush money paid to Stormy Daniels, but I'm not about to get into these videos because we don't talk about Trump on here. We just don't. So his signature issues is restricting immigration, building a wall at the Mexican border, renegotiating or canceling international deals on trade, arms control, and climate change, withdrawing American troops from overseas. It just seems silly to read it out loud. Restricting immigration. Yeah, well, that's it. That's exactly what he wants to do. Not gonna spend too much time here. So we got Joe Walsh, 57, conservative radio host, former congressman from Illinois. He also looks like he's in the middle of speaking when they took this photo. We've got a guy in the White House who is unfit, completely unfit to be president, and it stuns me that nobody's stepped up. So now I am. He's rode a Tea Party wave to Congress in 2010 and served one term in the House. Staunchly supported Trump in 2016 because Hillary sucks, I guess, to him because he wasn't Hillary Clinton. That's all he said, just because he wasn't Hillary Clinton. I imagine he would have voted for anybody else. So this is why it's very important for the Democratic candidate to be a good candidate. Because people like this are going to vote for Trump because he's not anybody that we propose. So just be careful, guys. He's called Obama a Muslim and a traitor, though he later said that he's regretted some of those comments. I said above, people can change. It's just, Obama ain't a Muslim. That's not true. And even if he was, that's not a bad thing. That's normal. It's normal to have a religion. Signature issues are reducing the national debt and retraining executive power, securing the border, and defeating Donald Trump, who he says cannot be trusted. Then we got William F. Weld. He's 74, former governor of Massachusetts, former federal prosecutor, and his quote is, "I hope to see the Republican Party assume once again the mantle of being the party of Lincoln." Ran for vice president of the Libertarian Party ticket in 2016 and is exploring a primary challenge to Mr. Trump, presenting himself as a voice for the alienated moderates and mainstream conservatives. Emerged as a vocal critic of Mr. Trump during the 2016 election, calling his call to deport immigrants invoked Krinchnalt. Yes, so he basically equated Trump to Nazis, and I like that. Just come to the right side, Will. Okay, William, come to our side. We've got low-fat, gluten-free cookies. They fall apart in your hand, but they taste good. Signature issues, he favors fiscal restraint, free trade, and moderate immigration reform, but has endorsed steps to legalize marijuana. And so that leaves us with just everybody who's dropped out of the race so far. We're not going to talk about those guys, because they lame. I guess the final point is I'm going to leave off to today is I always thought that in an alternate universe somewhere, Donald Trump isn't some weird, old, senile, hateful man that just spends all night tweeting stuff that we don't read. And he's if he actually wanted to be a good president and milk the American people and just live the American dream and be a TV president, he should just do whatever he wants to do. That's what they voted somebody like Donald Trump in for. That's why they wanted an outsider. They didn't want somebody that was going to just listen to whatever voices were talking in their ear or whatever hands they put in their pockets. The Republicans and grassroots Republicans that voted for Trump thought that he was going to fire all of the wealthy executives that were doing misconduct and being shady. They thought he was going to drain the swamp, not, I guess, pump more toxic waste into the swamp. I thought, honestly, that Trump would be more pro-women. Is that weird? I just thought because he's just got so many beautiful women around him all the time that somehow that would influence the way he thinks and believes. And having such a vocal daughter, I just thought that he would be more pro-woman. Not that I ever thought that he would be. Just, abortion rights. I mean, does he want all of the women that he has sex with to have children? No. So, I think that he should be pro-abortion. I also thought he'd be pro-marijuana too. Because that's cool. It's a cool kid's drug, right? So he's a cool kid. He wants to always feel cool all the time. So I thought it'd be like, yeah, marijuana's fun, and we should make it hard for kids to get guns because I don't want my son to get shot. But no, he's the exact opposite of everything that we thought, or at least that I thought decent people of his age would relate to. But thank you for sitting through this hour-long video of just going through all the Democratic national candidates. If you like videos like this, just continue to watch them. And have a spooky rest of your day.
Things aren't always as they appear.
And that goes for people, too. Some people that seem nice at first may be real bad news.